Joining us now for reaction from Washington, Democratic strategist Scott Bolden, and from Irvine, California, Eric Beach, a Republican strategist. So, Eric, I go to you first. The Times is really concerned about tone from the guy who runs Homeland Security. What do they want? Do they want Winnie the Pooh?
Well, I don't know what they want, but the number one job of the President of the United States is to protect American citizens. And really, the New York Times and the left's biggest problem with President Trump is his rhetoric and actions regarding American exceptionalism and America First policies. They don't like American exceptionalism. They want it to be we're the world's policemen. They want it to be that we allow all illegal immigrants to come in from all over the world. And the reality is that model doesn't work. It hasn't worked in Europe lately, and I think that's what you're going to see here in these elections. The border security in Europe is very poor, and it's really demonstrating a lack of leadership in some of these European nations.
Hey, Scott, I mean, what is it about strong language that Democrats have such a problem with in this kind of job? I mean, you want a straight shooting, humorless butt kisser. I mean, butt kicker. You don't want a butt kisser. You want a butt kicker.
Right. Well, listen, let me just say this. We can do without the fear mongering because every American in this country knows about terrorism. We've lived through it. But I couldn't tell whether the Mr. Kelly or Secretary Kelly was bragging or complaining about keeping us safe. We spent billions of dollars keeping Americans safe. We're certainly aware of it, but I don't think we've taken a day off from thinking that terrorism is not upon us. We watch TV all across the world and even in our own country, domestic terrorism. And so the fear mongering is really unnecessary. But this is the Trump administration's way of leading. They lead by fear, and it's really unnecessary. No Democrat wants the borders unsafe. No Democrat wants illegal immigrants here in this country. But what we do want is the Constitution recognized and honored. And when you fear monger and when you use that language, you put that at risk. And I think that's what the New York Times was getting at.
You know, I can't remember when President Obama used fear-mongering. Oh, yes, climate change. It was like almost every single day we were about to die.
At least 50 other countries signed on to that.
Yeah,
it's called the Paris Accord.
Yeah, and that's going to be unsigned.
There.
I'm hoping that's getting unsigned. I pray. Eric, how should he approach this job? If his should he soften his rhetoric, maybe sing show tunes and bake brownies and to bring in every Monday?
Hey, that's one way to doing it. I think the way he's doing it now is he's decreased illegal immigration by 50%. Look, I'm in California, and I remember Kate Steinle being killed. But let's not forget San Bernardino and Orlando. We live in a nation that is under attack by a lot of the outside extreme radical Islamic terrorists. And so, his rhetoric during the campaign, which he has now followed through as president, is very important. And it needs to send a message to the rest of the world that we are not going to be taken advantage of, that we are going to have a vetting system like many other countries do, and we're going to protect Americans first. And that's his job to do as President of the United States.
Yeah, but we do that already, don't we, Greg? We do that already. In fact, the attacks that my colleague just mentioned, none of those attacks came from illegal immigrants, if you will, or Muslims from countries that we're trying to ban right now. And a very small percentage, a fraction of the crimes committed, and one is too much, but a fraction come from those individuals who are here illegally.
What about San Bernardino?
Policy.
What about San Bernardino?
Didn't come from a Muslim country. Those individuals were radicalized while they were here. They were either had green cards or U.S. citizens. It's an illogical approach to it. It's unnecessary, and it's fear-mongering.
Scott, what's the downside on protecting our borders?
Nothing wrong with that.
What's the downside of having policies that put Americans first, whether it's economic policies, whether it's a policy on our educational system? I mean, what is wrong with the president saying that we're going to treat Americans, we have American exception? We put our interests above anybody else's in the world, and it's a privilege, not a right to live in this country.
But that's what the president campaigned on. The thing that bugs me about this, editorial. Let's get back to the editorial. Scott, hold on for a second. The editorial says that his tone will encourage abusive behavior. So they're essentially blaming Mr. Kelly for actions that have yet to occur. That's pretty bad.
Well, not exactly, though. Here's the deal. I'm a former prosecutor from New York. Tone and words matter. If the words and tone from the leadership says, at all costs, protect this border. I can tell you right now, whether it's the FBI or ICE or the police, they take those orders seriously, and very oftentimes you can't control over-aggressive or overzealous police officers who are enforcing the law. That's dangerous because rights get violated when that usually occurs. And that is important, and he sets the tone as the leader of that organization.
But I think everybody on the planet would rather have an angry tone with deeds getting done than a pleasant tone and nothing get done. And I think that's the concern.
If we violate their rights,
we're not.
If we violate the Constitution, you don't know that. If we do that, we are no better than the problem.
Right, but we don't know if that happens. What we do know
that happens.
What we do know is that there have been killings inside of the United States, and there have been other crimes inside the United States from both illegal aliens as well as people that want to do harm to us.
It's not an epidemic,
the president has to take these threats seriously, and so does.
It's terrorism. It's not about epidemics. It's about intent. We got to move on. Gentlemen, thank you so much.